What a great weekend to be on bottom in Spain. We had some fantastic matches in Italy.
Liverpool extend their lead at the top of the table in the Premier League, and we are in for a great finish in Germany. All this and more in episode 38 of the No Business Soccer Podcast. Pretty sure that's it.
Let's dig in. Oh, yes.
I'm sure I'm a professional, right?
And we still got this music playing. One day we'll have some great music that we can play for y'all, but today is not the day. And what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the No Business Soccer Podcast. I'm your host, Snooze, and we're here with the whole fam. We have the Brainiac J-Fam in the back. Of course, we have Danny P on the ones and twos, but everybody's talking about what my boy Hype Man Vic is sipping on. What you sipping on, dog?
Well, I tell you what, we had a boys' weekend this past weekend, not with you guys. I did miss you guys, but with my other friend group, and we did this last year, and it became notorious to have sentimental gentlemen, and that's what the cocktail is called. Of course, it got out of control. We started calling like savage gentlemen to like sacrilegious religious gentlemen, like just started going off on it. But there is an actual kind of offshoot of that's called a staggering gentleman made with stag bourbon instead. And I've been dying to try that. But when I went on this past weekend, I forgot my Benedictine. Adam, don't you when you forget, or Snooze, don't you hate it when you forget your Benedictine at home? Like,
of course.
It sucks. So I have it today, and we are trying it right now. It is absolutely delicious. And yeah, it has some walnut liqueur in it, so it's kind of like nutty too. And the Benedictine.
Oh, I know you love that. I know you love that.
The stag bourbon is absolutely amazing if you know bourbon. And I'll make you one when you come over, Snooze.
Okay, well, I do love me some eggs Benedict, so you can make that when I come over too.
Gotcha.
But of course, we have a lot to talk about in the world of European football, European soccer, whatever you want to call it. All the leagues are back. It's awesome. It's very good to be here. How do they say it on that Coming to America? I'm very happy to be here.
Very happy to be here.
And we have Champions League this week. Again, man, this is awesome. It's weird having Champions League in January, but of course, we're at the tail end. And so we have a lot to get to, but before we get to those, we got to talk about a couple of leagues that are a little closer to home. So let's go to our boots on the ground. I don't know why I tap like that, but our boots on the ground in Austin, Texas, the Austin FC Minute with Hype Man Vic.
First and foremost, Sebastian Driussi is officially the fuck out of here. Now, is that for him? I'm sure he's saying that. I'm not happy he left, but I'm sure he's saying that. He's glad he's the F out of here. Seba. He went back to River Plate in the Argentinian league. We wish him the best. He's our top leading scorer. He's was amazing. He's really wanted to go back to Argentinian league, so he did. We sold him for $10 million. Good job, Brodo. Keeping your price tag firm. We also got an 8.5% sell-on clause. So if River Plate ever sell Driussi, we get 8.5% of that. So a little chess in the game of checkers.
I like it.
But from that same Argentinian league, Nico Dubarsarski has signed over from Argentinian club Instituto ACC. I don't know what that is, but he's a midfielder. We're getting some help in the midfield since Driussi left, and he's been here already. He did his physicals. He's ready to play. I think he's playing in the preseason games that we have going on in San Diego here shortly. I think this week actually. So, yeah. Other than that, it's been a pretty good time for Austin FC. We got some good, a good outlook. I think with some of the signings we have, there's some more rumblings about what's going to go on, but we won't report them until we get some for sure signings.
And there's also the whatever open practice they had for season ticket holders this weekend too. You and I didn't get to make it, but hopefully if you do have season tickets and you went, that you had a great time. I heard it was awesome. So yeah, things are looking up. Awesome. Season's right around the corner, man. Like right around the corner.
Yep. We'll get to it. I can't wait. Less than a month, I think, or about a month. So
a lot of questions.
Let's go. Okay. All right, we'll keep it short. Appreciate it. Austin FC Minute. A little bit more than a minute.
Okay. And now, before we jump into the rest of the leagues, let's start with our trek to Wrexham with the Wrexham recap. And it is not as happy of a recap as it usually is this time around. But last time we spoke, Wrexham had gotten off a much-needed week off, I should say. And it was back to work for the boys this week as they took on Shrewsbury Town, who were 22nd in the table, and left Vic baffled. Like, how is that possible? They're so bad. They're 2 spots below, but there's 24 teams, I think, in there. And it was a tough match as the Shrewsbury faithful had come out in full force and packed that stadium out. The intensity was high. It was crazy. Everybody hates Wrexham. They're there to watch them lose. And Wrexham win a goal down early, but Stephen Fletcher does Stephen Fletcher things, and he gets the goal back and levels it up. But an early second half Shrewsbury penalty was enough for them to take all 3 points from the boys. And it sucks because some of the results mean that they might be falling to fourth, hopefully not. But it was a disappointing result regardless, and not ideal coming just back from a fresh break, or coming off fresh from a break. And they get a chance to right that wrong, though, on Thursday, January 23rd, which is this Thursday, against top of the table Birmingham. And that's awesome. I don't need to tell you how important this match is. A result of any kind in this one could mean a lot for them going towards the end of the season. If they go and get 3 points and prove to the rest of the league that they are here for real, that'll be a very, very big thing. Come on, boys, up the town. I need to say that more British, up the town. It doesn't sound right saying it in an American accent, but
more convincingly. We need
yes, up the town. Up the town. I know. I need to learn the words to their songs and stuff. But either way, that is your Wrexham recap. Man, that's a big game there, man, with top of the table teams. It's pretty cool. Okay. Yeah. Well, Vic, you still haven't watched the show, so we're gonna keep pushing you to watch that until you do.
I'm just yeah.
I'll watch it. Well, until then, we are going to hop on over to some of the bigger leagues around Europe. And this time, I think I'm going to take the reins. I usually ask my boy Vic where he wants to go, but I'm feeling spicy. I think I want to go to Spain. So when he's done with that sip, he's going to say,
"To La Liga."
Yes, we had some great matches in Spain. Starting off with Friday, 1:17, a match between 18th and 19th in the table was actually super entertaining as Espanyol beat Valladolid. We'll talk about that more in a sec, unfortunately for Victor. Saturday, 1:18, Girona fall to Sevilla at home 2-1 in what looked like a match destined for a draw as both teams had more than enough chances, but the winner came thanks to Luca Bacchio's insane solo goal in the 88th minute. It was just nasty, filthy, sexual even, if you will. Go watch that goal. Luca Bacchio is insane. He's been on fire lately. And I said it would be straightforward, and it was anything but. It's the match that everyone's talking about from Spain. It's the upset of the year. It's Atletico Madrid versus Leganes. We'll talk about that more in a sec. Alaves gets a 3-1 win over Real Betis on the road. It was their first win in 7 matches, and it was all thanks to the unlikely hat-trick hero Quique Garcia. The 35-year-old old man turned the clock back and stuns Betis, who have now lost 2 straight in La Liga, which is not good for them. It's weird calling a 35-year-old old man whenever I'm like 36 and not playing in Spain. So Barcelona's cup success did not help them return to winning ways as they dropped points in La Liga again, this time in a 1-1 draw on the road to Getafe. Honestly, I just think that having 70 to 80% of possession is just a recipe for a loss now. Every time I see someone that has that much, they lose. They had their chances. Lamine Yamal was back and healthy, and I'm not sure what's going on, but, Atleti slipped up. That didn't mean that much for them. Sunday, 1:19, Bilbao continued to close the gap on the top spot in the table as they get a 2-1 win over Celta Vigo. It was business as usual match and a business as usual result for Athletic Club. Real Madrid get a 4-1 win over the mighty Las Palmas. They were 3 goals up from the 50th minute on, but they didn't make the attacking subs that everybody was thinking they would with the Champions League looming. They were just pushing for more. They were really pushing for an Mbappe hat trick. It did not happen, and hopefully they don't get injured with these hamstrings or anything. They were running around a lot. Osasuna and Rayo Vallecano split the points in a 1-1 draw. This feels like a fair result for either side, but Osasuna specifically are glad to stop their losing streak at 2 games. Valencia did it. They take all 3 points in an upset win against Real Sociedad. It's just their 3rd win all season and their 1st win in 9 matches since they beat Betis back in November. Way to go. Is that? No, I don't know. We're like high-fiving. I don't know what I'm doing. Monday, 1:20, Villarreal show that they are for real against Mallorca with a 4-0 win. Both teams going for those European places, and the Yellow Submarine show they're just another level above. And all of that, Vic, where does that leave us in the table in La Liga?
Yeah, and taking a look at the table, the Madrids are starting to run away with it a little bit. The Real Madrid have 46 points in the first spot. Atletico Madrid right behind them with 44 points in the second spot. Then you have a 5-point difference between them and Barcelona, who were the kings for a while. Barcelona have not been in great shape. They have 39 points now in the third spot, just I think 2 points the last 4 games altogether. Atletico Bilbao rounding out, not reaching out, rounding out the top 4 with 39 points. There's a big gap, though, another 6-point gap with the 5th spot, with Villarreal tickling the top 4. They have 33 points. And at the bottom of the table, who would be getting relegated if the season ended today, is Espanyol in the 18th spot. They have 19 points. Valencia, with their win, bringing them up to 16 points altogether, giving them the 19th spot. And holy guacamole, Mavoli Dolis. They are now on the bottom spot. They got 20, are in the 20th spot. They have 15 points with their loss. Hard to see Real Valladolid holding up the rest of the table. And although they had a pretty exciting game that Snooze, I think you're about to tell us, let me down gently on how they lost, man. Come on.
Yeah, it was actually pretty fun to watch. I don't know why. I think it's because of all of the hype that I put on them because of you just calling them Voli Doli. It's really weird, but they've kind of become our pet project, just like some other teams around Europe. But yes, in this match, both teams combined for 23 shots and 8 on target. The Javi's goals were freaking incredible. Javi Puado for Espanyol and Javi Sanchez for Valladolid. Valladolid could have cut the gap to just 1 point between themselves and Espanyol, but instead it's widened to 4, and this result might be the start of the nails in the coffin for Valladolid, unfortunately. It really sucks for Espanyol, who get their 5th win of the campaign, because Alaves, Getafe, and Leganes all got points as well. So they stay in the relegation zone with that loss, but the gap is just 1 point. And obviously, Vic was just showing us more of the details of that table. Atletico Madrid is the next team I want to talk about because, man, them versus Leganes was just crazy. As we mentioned coming to this one, Atleti were on a crazy win streak, 15 wins in a row, something like that, in all comps. Insane. And that club, that was a club record for them, and it'll always be there. But the crazy thing is they lost it to Leganes, of all teams. Just don't see that coming. Didn't see that coming. And they had what appeared to be a softball matchup with Leganes, who had only won who only had 4 wins for the season. But Leganes atmosphere was insane. They played their hearts out. They played like their lives were at stake, and it also didn't hurt that Atleti hit the post 3 times in the first half and had an 89th minute penalty just straight up missed by Griezmann. Like, he didn't get blocked. He just missed. And, man, but still, what a result for Leganes. It was crazy. It's one of those games where, like, you get FOMO when you see them on TV because you're like, man, that would be awesome to go to that game, especially when you don't expect nothing from that game.
Yeah, we get a lot of that here in Austin. You know what that's like.
Yes. Hey, you're right. We do get a lot of that. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. Okay. Well, hopefully Valladolid turns it around. Hopefully Atletico Madrid, I want to see them win the title still. And both of those things are still on the table. We'll see how the season shakes out. But for now, that's what we're wrapping up in La Liga. I think we should head over to Italy now.
Yeah, I'm down. Let's do it. To Serie A.
And before we jump off, I have to say there's an elephant in the room that I'm not addressing right now.
Mm-hmm.
I got background. It's not just it's not just a wall anymore, guys. Look at that. Wow, that's so pretty.
As you
Anyway.
announce your background, my light just went out. So now I'm gonna look a little evil. Sorry, guys.
Yes, a little bit
There's
more
much I
evil,
could
we should
do.
say.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all good. You still look very handsome, sir. And we'll keep moving on from here in Italy on Friday. It's very clear now that Roma have turned a corner now as they beat Genoa 3-1 at the Stadio Olimpico. Artem Dovbyk got the scoring started, and if he starts to go, that could be crucial for Roma as they start to look towards the teams in those European places, which is just crazy to think of where they were maybe just 2 months ago, something like that. That was the Friday match. And on Saturday, Bologna got their first win in 4 matches as they beat Monza at home 3-1. Monza, though they are bottom of the table, were coming off a win and scored the first goal. There was nothing else for them, though, as they lose that one. Bologna were just too strong. Juventus get their first win in 4 matches as they beat Milan 2-0 in Turin. We'll talk more about that one in a sec, as well as Atalanta and Napoli putting on a show in Bergamo. That one ends Napoli 3-2. We will also talk about that one here in a sec. On Sunday, our Fiorentina, were up a man from the 32nd minute on, and they went up a goal in the 38th minute, and it was still not enough for them to get 3 points as they have gone winless in the past 6 matches. That was a great point for Torino as a 1-1 draw there. Parma and Venezia trade penalties and split the points in a 1-1 draw as well. A point isn't the best result for either side, though, because the 5 teams directly around them in the relegation battle all lost. So to take a point is cool, but if they would have got 3, either one of these teams, that would have been a huge, huge win for them. Cagliari put on a show as they get a 4-1 win over Lecce. The goals were nice in this one, but Cagliari's first goal was just filthy from Gaetano. That's now 2 wins in 3 for Cagliari as they push up the table, and Lecce are back down to the relegation battle after we just saw them in 13th last week. Vic, I'm sure the table is going to be crazy tight whenever we see it in a sec. Lazio got off to a quick start as they get the opening goal in the 2nd minute of this one, and they never look back as they go on to get a 3-0 win over Hellas Verona. It was much needed 3 points for our Lazio, who hadn't won in 3 Serie A matches. Business as usual in Milan as Inter beat Empoli 3-1. At halftime, when it was 0-0, you thought that maybe Empoli could get something from this game, but Inter shut that down real quick as they keep pace with Napoli at the top of the table. And Monday, Como they didn't sign him on Monday, but on Monday, the match today is Como, and they signed Asan Dio and Dele Alli. Yes, I've been talking about it for a long time. He's back, baby. But they signed both those players this winter window, and they start off the match after the winter. Well, it's not after. We still got some days. We get my point. With a 4-1 win over Udinese at home. And this is why they're being pushed in the Serie A with all these spotlight games on Mondays and Fridays. They look very good, and they look like they're here to stay in the Serie A. Okay, Vic, tell us what that table do.
That table, you have Napoli on top. They have 50 points on at least a 6-game winning streak. That's what the table shows. In the second spot, Inter Milan with 47 points. Atalanta in the third spot, doing their best. They had 11 straight Serie A wins at one point. Now haven't had a win in the last 4. Not looking good for them. They're really starting to crash. Hopefully they get it together and get another push here. But they are in the third spot with 43 points, and Lazio are in fourth spot, rounding out the top 4 with 39 points. And tickling the top 4 is Juventus with their recent win. They have 37 points. Luckily, they got a win. They're in the 5th spot. At the bottom of the table, Hellas Verona now have 19 points. They're in the 18th spot. And Venezia still earning their badge of the 19th spot, not 20th. They have 15 points. And poor Monza have 13 points. They are at the bottom of the table, holding up the rest of the table. But Juve finally got a win. I think we need to actually talk about that because it takes a lot for them to get a win. Tell us more about that.
Especially this season. And I got to be honest, we talked about this game, but I just assumed that it would be another draw. I just figured that they'd mastered the draw. This was Juve's year to just draw every game, apparently. And we really hyped up the reverse fixture, if you remember, about how it was like American on American action, 2 big clubs fighting to get back in the title race, or at least the top 4. And then it went 0-0. And we were kind of like, well, that sucked. Another draw, right? But so going into this one, I think we knew that Pulisic was going to be out thanks to Hype Man Vic. I didn't catch that he had left the game. He had just come back from being injured but we didn't think that Juve would get that W still. But man, were we wrong, because they played great. It was just a game that I hadn't seen them play like they did this time around. Yildiz is a star and so fun to watch. McKinney is in form and playing great. Weah is scoring. Milan actually played a decent game in this one too. I don't think that there was much that they were doing wrong. It was just that their attack was a little too wasteful, and they got Juve on a bad day. Well, bad for them, but good for Juve. And it's the first big shock for Conceição and Serie A, and for Juve, they are still unbeaten in the league after, what was this, match day 21? What did we say? Yeah 21. Right. Unbeaten in the league still. That's insane. And they're just inching closer and closer to those Champions League spots. It feels like if they can get a few more wins with the way that they've been, especially if they don't lose, I mean, we might be talking about more than that if they start to win more. Have you talked to your buddy since then? I mean, you've been gone.
I haven't gone. Yeah, I've been gone. And then we're going to work from home tomorrow because it's going to snow and nobody's going to want to go anywhere.
Excuse me? What did you just say? We live in Texas.
Yes, believe it or not. I think even Houston's going to get snow. That's how bad it's going to be.
That's insane.
But yeah, I got to talk to him about Juventus. Keep it.
You just made that up. You just made it up. We don't even know if that's how you say that.
I don't know either. I should probably ask him. But we are going to go see Friday Night SmackDown this Friday in Austin.
Okay.
So I'll definitely talk to him about that then. We'll see how it goes. You know, they have 13 draws. The next closest is 9. It's insane.
It's crazy. Oh man, that's I see how you threw in your wrestling jab there. I see that.
Yeah, you gotta throw it in there.
Well, the next match we want to talk about is another big on big in Serie A. It is Atalanta versus Napoli. And as I mentioned in the preview, Napoli lost to Atalanta 3-0 at home when they played the reverse leg of this match. But things were much different this time around in a match for Atalanta, where you get goals from Lookman and Retegui. That usually is a recipe for 3 points anytime. But Napoli were up to the challenge, and they were going for it in this one. They weren't sitting back. Napoli hand Atalanta their first loss in Serie A since September. 16 matches unbeaten, and Napoli get it done. With 3 straight draws in Serie A, they are starting to show cracks, and Conte's men took advantage of that. David Neres, Anguissa, and McTominay. Sorry, I don't know why McTominay, like all those names, and then McTominay is the one that tripped me up. But they were outstanding in this match. And of course, Lukaku, Danny P's favorite striker, gets a goal. It was crazy match to see. That was actually one of the more fun matches that I remember watching in a while. And it was just awesome from a neutral point of view. And yeah, just a ton of fun. Lookman's goal was impossible. Like when you watch that goal, if you see Ademola Lookman's goal, he had 4 or 5 defenders around him, and somehow he still gets a shot off, and it goes in. What a crazy time. What a crazy match. Congrats to Napoli, though. It's awesome seeing an intensely satisfied Antonio Conte again on the touchline. Yes, I just, applaud. That was a great match for the neutral anyways. I'm sure that Atalanta fans were not happy. And then the next one we got to talk about is a crazy story that I'm not sure if you saw this one, Vic. I'm not sure if I even talked to any of y'all about this one yet, but Lazio, this is about Lazio and the curious case of the dick pic, okay? There was a bizarre story coming out of Rome as Lazio eagle handler, like they have an eagle mascot, Juan Barnebe, and he was sacked for posting his prosthetic piece online after his surgery. He shared photographs of his new penile implant on social media, prompting the club to fire him. And then there were reports that he had barricaded himself into his room and was refusing to leave the complex after that. It has since come out that he's been living on site at the Lazio training ground for the past 15 plus years, as he has just been, that's what he's done apparently. And because of the surgery though.
Did people know this, or did he?
Yes. Like it was a thing. He had a
squatter
room and everything. He lived there. No.
All right.
It was an understanding with the club. But because of the surgery, the doctor's orders were that he can't move. So that's why he was like, no, I can't leave. So it wasn't a standoff or anything like that. Like some reports had come out, but he's like, yeah, I have to stay here. Now Lazio is saying, hey man, 10 days and you're out of here. And he's saying, no, the doctor said 30. So I think he's just trying to push it. In his own words, he's trying to give himself time so he can get his job back. But that's not what happened, or that's not exactly what happened. It was a crazy story anyway. But man, what a crazy time for Lazio, and they got to win, so it's better because they can kind of like shrug this off. But definitely, whenever you're not doing good on the pitch, and then these type of stories are coming outside of the pitch, it's just a shitstorm in Rome right now for Lazio. But Vic, I want to get your take on this though. What do you think about a prosthetic piece showing online?
Well, I don't know about that because I guess I don't know what you're searching for in your spare time. No, but the news stories are way different in Italy, man, compared to here. I guess a prosthetic piece is way better than like domestic violence here or DUI here.
Yeah,
but sure. Still way different. It's kind of weird to see. But I do remember seeing that. Now that you brought it up, I was like, the Eagle handler, like, why the Eagle? Like,
crazy stuff.
If anybody deserves to, like, show their piece on Twitter, it's the guy who handles the animals, like the Eagle handler, right? That's like, and it's one of the most American things.
I was saying, it's not even just like a regular bird; it's a freaking eagle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of course, that man's gonna be showing off his junk.
Yeah. What's crazy is that I'm pretty sure if like nobody said anything, nobody would care. Yeah, like, he would still have his job. Like if they didn't make it, like they didn't fire him, they're just like, oh yeah, okay.
I mean, maybe he got like a massive one, and he's just showing it off. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
what's wrong with that?
See. We'll put it in the thumbnail what it looks like for this video.
Wait a minute. No, hey, you know what? That should be the thumbnail. It's just him with the eagle. Yes, yes, I got it. Okay. Anyway, we don't have that much time to discuss this, but I'm glad we brought it up. This is a good time, and if anybody has seen the pic, I have not. Comment below and let us know. Is it worth it? Should this guy keep his job? We got to know this stuff. And that's the type of stuff you're getting at the No Business Suck. Yeah, he might get a new job.
He might get a new job because of it. We'll
a job that he'll enjoy way more.
All right.
Okay. We're done here. We're done. We're moving on. Let's move on to the Bundesliga.
Bundesliga.
There you go. I threw myself off because I said Bundesliga.
You're supposed to say Germany.
Yeah, I know.
I say Bundesliga.
I threw myself off. All right. I was just thinking about the guys. Now that's a weird thing to say, but
Say it again. We need that.
Yeah, no big deal. All right, let's get to it here. In the Bundesliga on Friday, Eintracht Frankfurt say no Marmouche, no problem against a Dortmund team that are in trouble. The match ends 2-0, and we'll talk more about it in a moment. On Saturday, St. Pauli get 3 huge points against Heidenheim in a 2-0 win on the road. This was a 6-pointer, and St. Pauli came to play. Heidenheim get their first loss in 3 Bundesliga matches, and it was a bad time to do that. Bayern get a pretty straightforward 3-2 win over Wolfsburg. I said that Wolfsburg wouldn't be a pushover, and they gave a valiant effort, but it still wasn't enough as they come up short in this one because Bayern Munich are a powerhouse, of course. Hoffenheim stopped their streak of 3 straight losses. They get all 3 points in a 3-1 win at Kiel, and Adam Hlocek gets a brace, and Kramaric chips one in as well, and that's usually a recipe for success for them. The way both teams had played coming into this match, though, I just didn't see this one coming, and Hoffenheim, good for them. Stuttgart dominate Freiburg in a 4-0 win at home. We'll talk more about that one here in a second. Bochum and Leipzig split the points in a 3-3 draw, but it was a massive collapse for Leipzig as they were up 3-0 after just 21 minutes of this one. Bochum hadn't scored 3 goals in a single match in the Bundesliga all season, and they did it here. What a result for them, and what a mess for Leipzig. Bochum survive and get a much needed point from a match that it was not expected, and maybe that's just what they need to stay up. I don't know. Maybe it's too much to say that. They're really far down. We'll talk about that here in a second with Vic. Leverkusen get all 3 points in a 3-1 win over Gladbach. Lil Uzi Verts gets a brace, and Patrick Schick polishes it off. Schick has been on fire lately, and it's all smiles for Leverkusen. Gladbach have now lost 3 matches in a row in the Bundesliga and desperately need to right the ship. On Sunday, Union Berlin get probably the most unlikely 3 points of the season as they beat Mainz 2-1. Mainz had been the informed team in the Bundesliga, while Union had lost 3 straight and were free-falling towards relegation. But none of that mattered as they showed up in front of their home crowd and get their 5th win of the campaign. Augsburg gets their 2nd win in a row as they beat Werder Bremen 2-0 on the road. Werder had their chances, but Samuel Ascende's 2 goals were just too much to handle. Vic, where does that leave us in the table, sir?
Yeah, well, the table looks real familiar on the number 1 spot as Bayern Munich, 45 points, and in the top spot. Bayern Leverkusen, Leverkusen have 41 points, at least on a 6-game win streak. That's what the table shows. They are in the 2nd spot. Eintracht Frankfurt have 36 points in the 3rd spot. There's a big gap right there, 5 points between them and Bayer Leverkusen. And 4 points behind them is Stuttgart. All 4 getting a win this week, and I bet one of them wish they didn't because the other teams didn't because it's getting kind of sparse up there at the top. So it's going to be really hard, and you're going to have to be hoping that one of these teams gets a loss. But Stuttgart have 32 points. They're in the 4th spot, and tickling the top 4, not rounding out. Tickling the top 4 is RB Leipzig. With their draw, they have 31 points on the season in the 5th spot. At the bottom of the table is Holstein Kiel with 11 points. They're in the 17th spot. And at the bottom is Bochum with 10 points. They did get a draw, hoping that Holstein Kiel can drop some more points because they've been at the bottom for quite a while, and they are just 1 point off of them. Hopefully, we'll see what happens with them. It's getting kind of interesting because we already wrote them off, for sure.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Yeah. But like I said at the top, I'm sure Eintracht Frankfurt are trying to get Bayer Leverkusen and Bayern Munich some losses because they're in the 3rd spot. But tell us more on their win against Borussia Dortmund, the yellow team.
Oh, yes, the yellow team. Watching the match, it was weird because the attacking of Dortmund actually looked dangerous. They looked like they were going to take some chances and score some goals in this one. But Frankfurt's defense were not scared of what was coming at them, and they were up for the challenge. Looking at the stats, total shots and shots on target are pretty even, but Dortmund had 68% of the possession, and it still didn't matter. Like I was saying, if the team that has 70 to 80% possession, they automatically aren't going to win that match. I just know it now. And Hugo, I gotta think about this name because it's hard. There's a lot of K's and T's. Hugo Ekitike's goal was the difference for essentially the entire match before Oscar Højlund took advantage of a 3-on-1 with the Dortmund keeper to make it 2-0. And if you watch the second goal, it was just a Dortmund team that were getting desperate and sloppy and had everyone up trying to get the equalizer, but it didn't happen. And that's now 3 straight Bundesliga losses for Dortmund and 3 straight wins for Frankfurt, who are just about hanging in there as a title challenger, as Vic was just showing. And I don't know. I haven't actually seen that Marmoush left for City, unless it's come out since this podcast has come out. But he wasn't on the team, so I don't know. I don't know what's happening. Maybe they just haven't announced it yet.
Producer Danny P, give us an update on that.
I know if it's happened since then, but I don't think it has. At least it hasn't been announced.
Yeah.
I know he needs some work, right? Stuttgart and Freiburg is the next match that I want to talk about that we said we were watching this weekend. And it was 3-0 at the half, and they never looked back for Stuttgart. This is now 3 straight wins in the Bundesliga for Stuttgart as they are hitting their stride at the right time. The break must have been kind to them since they bounced back from their loss from St. Pauli right before the break. They've won 3 in a row since then, and the Champions League is starting back up. The fixtures are coming in quick, and they are hitting the stride at the right time. I think that they've turned their season around completely, but of course I'm a little biased, so we'll see how that goes. I feel like they're poised to finish in those European spots again, which is just crazy to think about them almost being relegated a couple seasons ago. And for Freiburg, they have now lost 2 straight, and that's now 3 losses in their last 5 matches. They're still sitting at the top half of the table, though, which just shows you how good they had been prior to the winter break. They were just killing it, at least at the beginning of the season. But if they are to be in Europe, and it seemed destined like they were earlier this season, but if they are now, they're going to have to do a lot better against the better teams in Germany. And what I mean, Vic, tell me if this sounds bad. They have now lost to Stuttgart 4-0, Frankfurt 4-1, Leverkusen 5-1, and Dortmund 4-0. You can't climb up the table when everyone above you're losing that heavy to, and especially Dortmund, they're not even that good.
Sounds pretty bad. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, sounds bad. That sounds bad. Freiburg, they seem to beat up on the smaller teams, but just can't get over the hump with some of the bigger teams. And, hey, if they're going to be right there fighting for that last Conference League spot, or maybe they're just a mid-table team, that's fine. But if you're trying to go further, you got to do it.
Yeah, and they're still in the hunt. The past 2 games they've lost. That's 6 points they left on the table. If they had won, they'd be at 33 points, and that's enough to be at least in the 4th spot. the top three are kind of getting off because they're at 45, 41, and 36. I'm sorry. The top three are kind of going away with it. They're getting off. They have 45, 41, and 36 points. So that's 9 points just between first and third spot. And that's obviously a big parity. And just between the 6th spot and I think the 10th spot is 3 points. So there's a lot to make up. There's a lot to hopefully get into that 4th spot, at least the 5th spot, get into some Europa League, some kind of European competition. And they're on the cusp, but man, if they can't do it against big teams, it's going to be a pretty bad last half of the season for them.
Yeah, because you think if you're trying to get I think the team right above them, I can't remember the table. You just talked about Wolfsburg. Yes, Wolfsburg have been pretty decent lately, and obviously they lost to Bayern this time out. But anyway, you see my point. It's just crazy that they seem to struggle in these matches against the bigger teams. But hey, it is what it is. Okay, well, hopefully Freiburg can turn around. Not more than Stuttgart though. But that is it for the Bundesliga. And now we are moving to everyone's favorite league, and I say that's probably disrespectful, but we're going to England,
to the Prem.
Boom.
Yeah, everyone's favorite league.
Yeah, I know, right? After I just shit on everybody else's leagues. Oh man. Okay. And I think we're going to start with Saturday because there's no Friday games. Yes, Saturday, Newcastle fall 4-1 to Bournemouth at home in an upset that I certainly didn't see coming. And we'll talk about this one more in a sec. Crystal Palace go to West Ham and get a 2-0 win. Not a great follow-up for Pottersman, who won last time out. But for Palace, that's now 3 wins in the last 5 matches in the Prem. And Mateta is a beast. If you watch the highlights or if you are a Palace fan, you know Mateta is insane. He's so fun to watch. Liverpool proved that there's no such thing as a curse as they get 2 late goals from Darwin Núñez as they beat Brentford on the road 2-0. This was a much-needed win for Liverpool as they continue to extend their lead at the top of the table. And Fulham get 3 much-needed points as they get their first win in 4 matches with a 2-0 win over Leicester. Leicester have now lost 7 straight Premier League matches. Yes, that's not a good job. RVN's job couldn't be under pressure already. I mean, it couldn't be. No way. But it doesn't look good. Aston Villa, or Villa, as Hype Man says, come back from 2 goals down on the road to Arsenal to split the points in a 2-2 draw, and we'll dig into that one more in a sec. On Sunday, Forest get a 3-2 win over Southampton to keep their title aspirations alive. Southampton got 2 late goals to give them hope, but it was never really close. And the Moisaya is back. Danny P loves to hear it. Everton dominates Spurs at home in a 3-2 victory. Everton hadn't scored in 9 of their last 11 matches in the Prem, and they were up 3-0 at halftime in this one. Spurs are now winless in their last 6 Premier League matches, and it's all gone to hell. Good job, though, for Everton. Way to go, Danny P. I'm going to clap you for that one. And he didn't even talk that much crap. He talked a little bit, but not a lot. It's fine. It's fine. Brighton get a 3-1 win over Manchester United at Old Trafford. Matoma was awesome in this one, getting a goal and an assist, and he became the highest scoring Japanese player in the Prem. Claps for him. That's awesome. Way to go. And what a result for Brighton. Emerim is still looking for answers. City get 3 goals before the half and 3 goals after the half in a 6-0 ass whooping of Ipswich Town. The Tractor Boys, I don't know if anybody actually calls them that, but that's apparently their nickname. The Tractor Boys had a chance in this one, but they, the energy that came from Holland's 10-year, 100 whatever million pounds, I don't even actually know it was like a baseball contract is what it felt like. They never stood a chance once that thing hit. And on Monday, Chelsea get a 3-1 win over Wolves as Wolves drop their 3rd straight game, while Chelsea get their first win in 5 Premier League matches. They're getting their season back on track. Okay. Where does that leave us in the table in the Prem, Vic?
Well, it still looks great on top of the table. You see, I'm a little biased by what I'm wearing. Liverpool in the number 1 spot with 50 points, starting to run away with it, as they are 6 points clear with a game in hand on Arsenal, who are in the 2nd spot with 44 points. Tied with them is Nottingham Forest with 44 points as well. What's crazy is that Arsenal, 2nd spot, Nottingham Forest in the 3rd spot, tied in points. Arsenal has twice the goal differential as Nottingham Forest. 22 goal differential as opposed to 11 for Nottingham Forest, which is crazy. But Chelsea rounds out our top 4 with 40 points and tickling the top 4. Manchester City with 38 points. I was hoping they would drop some points to get out of those European spots, just out of spite. But, obviously I'm biased. Look what I'm wearing. If we look at the bottom of the table, you'll find Ipswich Town, which are now facing relegation due to the 6-0 thrashing that Man City gave them. They now have a negative 23 goal differential. Which pushed them to the 18th spot. Wolverhampton Wanderers now in the 17th spot because they have only negative 19. Good for them.
Only.
Yeah. Yeah. And in the 19th spot is Leicester City. As you said, at least 6 straight wins, all red for them. They have 14 points, hoping to turn something around. And, man, Southampton not looking good. They're now at 22 games this season. Only, I think, 18 goals. Not even 18 goals. Like, it's pretty crazy. They have 6 points, not looking good for them, holding up the rest of the table. But I will say, I was hoping that Newcastle and Bournemouth, they would at least tie to get some points and, keep Manchester City down because they were right there, holding them down out of the European spots. But tell us more about their match because it didn't go the way I wanted to.
No, not at all. And I just would let you know that City are no threat to Liverpool this season, so it's okay. I think you're fine.
It's just good to see.
But
it's just good to see. They're like division rivals, like your Green Bay Packer fan.
Whoa, what?
I meant to say something else, but Green Bay Packer fan against the Lions. I don't know which one you don't like more, but
they're the good ones right now. So yeah, it'd have to be the Lions, but usually the Bears.
Yeah.
The Bears. But yeah, the Newcastle Bournemouth match when Kluivert, I think it's Kluivert. When Kluivert scored in the 5th minute, you felt like this one was going to be different. But Newcastle leveled it up in the 25th minute, and it was pretty relentless for them. After that, they were going after it, and it felt like they would be getting a goal very soon. But against the run of play, Kluivert gets his 2nd goal, and the Cherries were off and running. And man, it was crazy to see because Kluivert gets his hat trick with a, as we call it here, or as I call it, a boner ball from outside the box in the 92nd minute. And our guy, Milos Kerkic, put on a show for us with the 4th goal, with his goal, 4 minutes later. And man, I don't know if you've seen it, but the highlights are insane from this one. Like, it doesn't seem that a team on the road to Newcastle could do that to them. But I don't know if it was just an off day for Newcastle or what. But what we spoke about before going in was how incredible Isak and Gordon had been coming into this one, and they were just quiet. I mean, Isak he failed to even get a shot on target the entire match in this one, and Bournemouth extend their unbeaten run in the league to 10 matches. This feels like a statement win for Bournemouth, honestly, whenever you can do that to Newcastle on the road. And they're now just a point off of them in 4th. And it's been a crazy season, and this kind of sums it up. It's really cool. Vic, I don't know if obviously you were drinking a lot with the boys, so you probably didn't get a chance to see this. But when you do, check out that Milos Kerkic goal. I mean, it was like disrespectful, and then he ripped his shirt off afterwards, and it was just flexing on him. It's way worse when that happens.
Yeah, he wanted a yellow card too. That's how good he felt. It's just rip my shirt off. Give me a yellow card too. It was awesome.
Go ahead and give me a yellow. It doesn't matter. But yeah, what a great result for Bournemouth, and just a bad day from Newcastle. I think they'll be fine. And we're going to talk about Arsenal versus Villa next. The title race was on balance. I don't know why I put that. I'm sure there's a saying there for Arsenal on the line. Yeah. As they knew coming into this one that they couldn't drop any more points if they're going to catch Liverpool. And they started that way with a 2-goal lead. It started to look like they weren't going to drop points here. But the crowd was going crazy behind them. It was awesome. But Aston Villa they didn't care. They just kept coming, and they didn't give up, and they got what they wanted. Yuri Tillemans gets a great header in the 60th minute before Ollie Watkins smashes home the equalizer 8 minutes later. And Watkins' goal was awesome, but the cross put in by Matty Cash was insane. That one, it was pinpoint. It was perfect. It was sexual, even, if you will. Obviously, the title race isn't over yet, but the gap is now 6 points, and it's hard seeing Liverpool dropping 6 more points than Arsenal at this point in the season.
With a game in hand.
Oh, yes. There you go. Got a game. So, I mean, you might as well say that's 9 points, right? That's what we're going to 9 points.
Pretty much because it's Everton.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. Hey, Everton are really good, dude. Okay.
Oh, okay.
They're really good. All right. They beat you 3-0 at halftime. This game had Arsenal fans. I don't know if you saw this one either, but after the game, they were kind of showing around the stadium, and there was an Arsenal fan sitting in the stands by himself, like literally empty bleachers all the way around. And he was just staring at the pitch. And Usher had to come over to him and ask him to leave. And the cameras were standing there this whole time. And he's like, yeah. Like he looks at him like, yeah, I'm going. And then he just starts having like the poor dude had a therapy session. He's just like, you see him and he's just like talking, but like, man, like, and then the Usher's like, yeah, like I understand. It's freaking hilarious. Yeah, man, it was just not a good time for Arsenal fans being 2 up like that. But like Bournemouth did the earlier that day, it felt like a statement result for Villa as they continue to impress. I mean, that's the best thing I could say about it. Oh, excuse me. Okay. What else can we talk about here, Vic? You want to talk about your Liverpool, because I know you were giving me some crap about it before they come back.
Yeah, thank you for thank Liverpool for finally breaking your Flowers curse. They had not won a game since you gave them their flowers in Champions League or Premier League. So I think we got past it, and I think we're good to go. I'm doing anything except celebrating already. I'm doing everything except celebrating already because worse things have happened, but we'll see. And you know what I want to do? This is what I want to do. I want to do something off script. I want to bring Danny P in here. Hey, Danny P, do you know if the Everton and Liverpool game has been rescheduled yet? And do you have a date for it?
He's just going to text. Okay. There you go. No, he doesn't. There we go. Fair enough. It's going to be like the last match of the season. They're going to wait till, what is that, like May or end of April, something like that. Man, well,
at least it'd be some good weather for us to go watch that game, because we got to go watch that game.
Oh yeah, it was supposed to be like 6 a.m, though, wasn't it? This last one. Hey, good for y'all. I don't know if there's anything else that I want to talk about specifically. It's crazy to see City get 6-0 against Ipswich. Yeah, that's really it. I think we're good to go for the Prem, but we have Champions League this coming week. What is that? Tuesday, Wednesday? It's a European competition week, and so I think we even have a graphic for it that we haven't played in ages. So let's do it now. Let's go to these European competitions. Even a different song. Nice. How about that? And because we have a lot to recap, a lot to go over, and we don't have a lot of time to do it, I'm just going to talk about some of the matches that we're watching during this break or after this break, because I know there's 2 match days left for the Champions League and the Europa League. The Conference League, they're already waiting till like mid-January, early February to go into these the playoffs, if you will. I know that's a very American term. But I think they actually are calling them the playoffs. So we're going to start off with just the matches we're watching. First off, in the Europa League, and I got to say, there's not a whole lot of big matches in the Champions League, if you know what I mean. So Europa League might have more matches that you want to watch. One of the main ones that I'm seeing here is Athletic Club or Bilbao. They're against Besiktas, which those Turkey teams are really good. They've always, especially in these competitions, they're hard to beat. Athletic Club are on fire right now. That should be a good one. We have AZ Alkmaar. You see, I said Z because, that's how they say it over there.
There you go.
Versus nice. Roma. Roma is in, they're back in form, and this one should be a great one to watch. And then we have my Spurs versus Hoffenheim, which Hoffenheim did get a win last time out, but in the Bundesliga, but they have been horrible up until then. And Spurs just been horrible too. So I don't know who's going to win this one, but it'll be fun to watch. Another one that you want to watch, Fenerbahce versus Lyon. Fenerbahce, another great team, Turkish club. And Lyon, they might be free falling. I heard a lot of financial troubles. We don't really cover the Ligue 1 in this podcast, but yeah, that should be a good one to watch. The main one, though, the biggest one you want to take a look at is Lazio versus Real Sociedad. That one's going to be fun. two teams that we like a lot here on the No Business Soccer podcast. And the last one to see in the Europa League is Manchester United versus Rangers, because Rangers, the Scottish clubs, they hate the Prem teams. So this one's going to be lit, as the kids say. Okay. Let's go to the Champions League matches that we're watching. We'll knock it out. Liverpool versus Lille. I know that Vic's watching that one. And actually, Lille are one of the outstanding teams from this competition right now. They're sitting 8th in the table in the Champions League. Of course, Liverpool are first. So a top 10 matchup as one of the last matches. Yeah, that one could be fun. But there's, could be. You're like, who cares? Like, I don't even,
I'm excited to watch tomorrow. I'm excited.
One of the clubs that we've been to the stadium for, Benfica, taking on Barcelona. I don't think that Barcelona is going to struggle too much this one. Maybe they do. Benfica surprises me sometimes, but they do travel to Lisboa to take on Benfica. The match that I want to be watching the most on this Champions League match day is Atletico Madrid versus Leverkusen. Never losing Leverkusen. They disappointed me when they played Liverpool 3 match days ago. I can't remember. Vic definitely remembers that one, but I was very excited for that one, and they didn't do it. And now I want to see them against Atletico Madrid. Yes, they slipped up last time out, but this is going to be a freaking awesome one, isn't it?
I don't know. All the wins are running together. I forgot which one they were. I don't know. Yeah. Just kidding. I'm pissing off a lot of people that hate Liverpool.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. I'm excited to see. They Leverkusen on their win streak. Atletico Madrid, obviously, they just lost, but they're on their win streak.
They've been great. Yeah.
It's been awesome. So let's see how it goes. We will also be watching, or I'll be watching, Bologna versus Dortmund, because Dortmund they're freaking a mess. They're crazy bad right now. But whenever you look at the table in the Champions League, they're 8th. And Bologna, while they are 33rd, when they have, I think, 1 point? No, they have 2 points. They have 2 draws in the Champions League this season. It just seems like a match that Dortmund should be losing, but we have no idea. With both these teams are bad in their forms here. And then I think the biggest match of the weekend is Manchester City versus PSG. Maybe that's not fun for Atletico Madrid and Leverkusen fans, but PSG, Man City, giant clubs, rich owners, a lot of good, high quality players. Going to be fun. I know that this is going to be the penultimate. Oh, you like that word? Match day of the Champions League, and so a lot of these teams are fighting for their playoff lives, and it's going to be fireworks. I'm excited to see these, and it's the first time that we're having this. I think when was the last match day? It was like I can tell you the date actually.
I don't even remember. Yeah,
December 11th was the last Champions League. So we
over
are
a month.
A month, leaning towards more like almost 2 months. It's crazy. So it's good to be back. It's going to be fun. We've had midday madness going on in the leagues, but this is now back to what back to the roots. Back to these good competitions, the Europa League, Conference League, Champions League. Let's do it. Okay, that is it for the European UEFA competition preview. And that is it for the European reach around as well. Wrap up, whatever you want to call it. Time for us to get out of here, Vic, because we're hitting on an hour. So take it home.
All right, let's move it up. We'll move it out of here. I'll stop mumbling. Jesus Christ. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and listening to us yap about some European soccer here. What did we miss? I want to know what you think we missed here. Who are you excited to see this weekend or this week in the Champions League? And want to engage with you guys and talk to you guys. We are on everything at No Business Soccer Podcast except for X and TikTok. Continuing on TikTok.
Hey, it's alive.
For X and TikTok, it's No Biz Sock Pod. Please follow us, engage. We want to talk to you guys again, as I said. But other than that, we will talk to y'all soon, and y'all have a good one. Stay safe, stay warm.
Peace.